today in this session, we are going to talk about the thread groups in JMeter. So what are the thread groups? First of all, you have to understand that thing. Okay. So in the last session, we have already talked about the test plan. So now this is my JMeter, and in the JMeter, this is the test plan. So now in the test plan, let's make a right click and add the thread groups. When you click on thread groups, you will see this option, thread groups user, and this is the option thread group. Now question is that what is the thread group, what is the use of thread group in JMeter? Okay, so for that purpose, let's first understand the thread group concept, and then I will tell you about these property, number of threads, ramp up period, loop counts. I will talk about these things here. Okay, so now you can say first of all, here you can say in the thread group, you can say that we are going to test a application, we are going to test a web application. So this is my web application. So I am going to test my web application. This is my web application. Now for testing the web application, I need multiple users, because that is the main purpose of the performance testing. Like we want to put a load on our web application, right? We want to put a load on our web application, so we need a you can say multiple number of users, we need it. Okay, so this is my application. I need a number of users, multiple number of users. So how I can provide it? For that purpose, JMeter provides a concept that is called thread group. Means with the help of thread groups, actually you can simulate the multiple users, and we call these users technically threads here. Okay, like I told you, if you go here, we have an option number of threads, in the bracket it is written users. So by default it has given the value 1. It means if we are putting the value number of threads equal to 1, it will create one user. If you want to create multiple number of users, suppose take the example, you want to create 10 users, you are going to put the value 10 here. Okay, so now let me show you that what happens, that whenever you are providing the 10 users or number of users. So I'm taking the example of number of users 3 here. So if I've configured my thread group for number of users 3, so what it will do, it will create the first user, then it will create the second user, and it will create the third user. So if you are giving the value 10, it means in the same way it will create the, you can say, 10 user. So thread of groups, in the thread of group, this property number of threads is provided to provide the number of users, number of virtual users. Okay, now second thing is that whenever you are creating a user, there is a property that is called loop count, and there is a property infinite. In the loop count, the default value is 1. It means, what does this mean? It means every user means every thread, or you can say every user is allowed to send a single request. Okay, it means if I will put the value 1, every user can send one request. So the total number of requests will be 10 multiply 1, that will be 1. If I am putting the value of this loop count 3, it means, what is the meaning of this one? 10 users, there are 10 users in my performance testing, and every user can send 3 requests, every user. So total number of requests in my performance will be 10 multiplied by 3, that will be 30. So here, let's understand from here. So in the thread group, once you provide the number of threads, suppose 3, and then you are also providing the value of loop count 3. So what happens, every user is allowed to send the one request, second request, and third request. So this is the maximum number request you can allow per user. That is called your loop count. If you are, instead of that, if you are clicking on this checkbox, it means now you are not restricting every user to a fixed number of requests. You are saying that every user can send infinite, unlimited number of requests if you are clicking on this one. Okay, so in the starting, you should use any particular value here. I hope this is clear, that number of thread is the number of virtual users, and loop count means every user, the number of requests every user can send here. Okay, so I can show you this thing practically also. Like for example, this is my number of threads, and this is my, you can say, loop count, currently 1. Okay, so first of all, let me take the example one by one. Now for this thread group, I need a proper, you can say, request, so that I can send it. So I'm just adding a sampler here. I will talk about the sampler in the future, but let me add for the timings, because I can show you that it is also sending the request or not. Okay, so for that purpose, you can take the example of any testing API. So this is one of the, you can say, portal where you can get the test API. But you have to make sure one thing: whenever you are using any testing API also in your portal, okay, don't try to create a huge number of users and requests. Otherwise otherwise that application will block you. So I have a very easy solution for me here. I have developed my own API. So this is my API which I've developed on NetBeans, and now I can use this. So this is the URLs of my API. So because this API, you can say that it is deployed in my local, so I can easily use it. So now let me configure it. So I'm going to configure it quickly. So let me go here. So here, this is the, you can say, server IP. Again, I'm saying that I will talk about in the detail also. For the time being, I'm just using it 8080, and where is the you can say, where is the rest of the path? This is my rest of the path. Okay, so this is my rest of the path. So let me, instead of calling the all, let me uh, call this get started by ID, where I can pass single parameter also. So let me go here, and I want to get the ID of, suppose, 3 users. So this is my 3 ID users. So okay, so you don't need to worry about that, because again, I'm saying that I will take this topic sampler after this thing, but here I'm focusing on the thread group. So you can say in the thread group, I have written 1 user, and loop count is 1, means there will be 1 user, and 1 user can send 1 request. So let me run it. But now the thing is that if you want to run it, how you can see the result? So for that purpose, again, I need to add one more component. So currently I'm adding it. Okay, but for the, you can say, in the future, I will talk about the this listener also in the detail. So here you can say this is one. Now you can see this thing. Now let me run the request. So let me run the request. So let me click on this one button, and it will send the request. So you can say that it is sending the request here. You can say that. Okay, now let me add one more listener, so that I can show you this is working perfectly also. So I'm going to add one listener. Listener is something like a report. Okay, so I'm added this one, and now let me clear it, and now let me run it again. So only the benefit is that when I'm sending the request, you can say that this is result, this is a request and response. So same response, you can say that this one, this is the detail of ID3 is name man, something like that. So same, you can, if I'm going to call the same API from my, you can say, browser, I will get the same results. So let me call this whole thing from the UI. So let me go into here, and let me run it. So I'm just taking the example. So let me run it 3. So you can say that I'm getting the same response here. So actually my focus is on this one, that I'm sending 1 request. Now this is the button to clear all the, you can say, logs here. I've cleared it. Now let me go to the, you can say, a thread group, and now I'm making a 10. So how many users? 10 users are there, and every user can send single request. So again, let me run this and can show you that how many requests are there. So you can say that how many requests are there? 10 requests are created. Okay, and here you can say that thread group is, this is the group name. Okay, if you want, you can change the group name also, like I'm saying that in the short first, and I can say thread group. Let me just give the name thread group, and here in the same way, let me give a simple name here, REQ. This is my request. Let me save it. So in the logs, you can say that will be visible that this is my first thread and this is my request. Okay, so now let me clear this thing, and now let me run it again. This is my table view, and this is my tree view. So I will run it. Let me run it, and you can say that. So here you can say that one first thread group, 1 2 3 4 10. 10 users are there, and everybody is sending the, you can say, single request everybody is sending, right? So now I told you that what is the purpose of, you can say, loop count. You can decide the number of requests. Let me make it 3, or let me make it 3. Okay, let me make it 3. So now what will happen? 10 users will be there. JMeter will create 10 users, and every user can create 3 requests. So total number of requests will be 10 multiplied by 3, that will be 30. So let me show you here. Let me clear it, and let me run it. So you can see here, and if you want to see the, you can say, already there is an option that you can scroll it, but in the simple word, you can say number of sample. Here you can say number of sample means number of request is there. Latest sample is 30. So here number of sample is 3. How? Because 10 users, and every user creating the 3 requests, and you can check it here. This is first user, first request, second, third. These are 3 requests from the same thread or same user, and now these 3 are from the same user, second user. Now these 3 are from the third user. So here you can say you can control the number of requests. Okay, now I want to show you very interesting thing also. Like whenever I'm doing it, when I'm running it, here the you can say ramp up period is 1 second. Now the question is that what is ramp up period? Okay, so for that purpose, let me again come back to my PPT and I will show you something interesting. So what is happening? This is my application and this is my thread group. So what happens that whenever I start my you can say JMeter, run the plan, what happens that it actually creates the number of threads. It creates the number of threads, but the process of creating the thread, what is the process of that? In your JMeter, if you whatever values you are giving it here, if you are giving the one value, okay, and for example, let me give the example 10. So what will happen? The purpose of ramp up period is that you are saying that 10 users, you are saying that 10 user should be ready, up and running, means they should involve in the performance testing within 10 seconds, means 10 users should be visible or start sending the request to the server within 10 seconds. 10-second time is given to 10 users to come into the performance testing and start running it. Okay, so every user should be in the picture in the performance testing within 10 seconds. Are you getting my point? So now the question is that 10 users are there, 10 seconds is there. It means every user or every thread is getting 1 second to start the process or start sending the request here. So now I can show you same thing in my PPT. Like whenever I'm saying that this one, for example, so let me run it. So when I'm saying that whenever I will run this, it will create a first user, and when first user comes into the picture, it will start sending the request 1 2 whatever request is starting. Now when second thread or user will come into the picture, it is decided by the ramp up period. I told you I have given the 10 second and the number of users are 10. It means first user is come into the picture, and after 1 second, when second user will come into the picture, after 1 second, second user will come into the picture or will start sending the request in this way. Now it will, now two threads are working parallelly, they are sending the request in the same time. After 1 second, means for after 1 second second user was picture, then now after 1 second third user will come into the picture and it will also start sending the request here. So you can say that in the same way, if we have 10 user, so one user after 1 second second user will come into the picture, then after 1 second third user into the picture, then after 1 second. So this ramp up period actually decides the total time when your user should be involved in your performance testing. Okay, so it means if we take the example of this one, 10 users will take 10 seconds to comes into the picture, then they will start running or sending the request also. Now again, let me take some different example. If I will take the example of, suppose we have 30 users, 30 threads are there, and now we are giving the ramp up period, suppose 120. So we are saying that 30 number of thread 30 users are given 120 seconds to come into the performance test. They need to be involved within 120 seconds. All the users should be in the picture. So now every user will come one by one. How? So what will the time given to each user to start the request, to start sending the request? That is total ramp up period 120 divided by 30. So every user will get 4 seconds. 4 seconds. In 4 seconds it will take to start or come into the picture, or you can say start up and running. So if you take the example here, first user will come and first user will come into the picture, he will start sending the request, and after 4 seconds next user will come into the picture and he will start sending the request, and after then next 4 seconds next user will be come into the picture. So ramp up period actually decides the total time given all users to come into the performance testing. I can show you very good thing here. So for example, I'm giving here, suppose 10 user is there, and here I'm giving only the ramp up period, this one. So for the time being, let me take the example of one here so that you can easily see the understand the result. So let me run it and see that when I will run it, you can say that you can see here, when you are able to see the time, you can see that every user is taking the, you can say 1 second. So let me go here. So ramp up period means one, you are, it is taken means 10, the 1/10 part of the 1/10 part, 10 1 divided by 10, it means 0.1 second. 0.1 second is taken by the every user to come into the picture. If you want to see it clearly, let me make ramp up period 10. Okay, and now let me clear the logs. Now just see here, it means 10 users and every user will take 1 second, means every thread will start after 1 second, and I can show you in the execution also. Let me show you. Just tell me what is the time here. 32, 35, 32 is the time, then 33, then 34, 35, 36, 37. Every thread you are saying that is starting after 1 second, after 1 second, because there are 10 users and every user is getting, every thread is getting 1 second to start or come into the picture. Now let me clear it, and now I will show you an interesting thing. Let me go to the again thread group, and now I will make it suppose 20. So now tell me one thing, 10 users, total time is 20. It means every user will get 2 seconds to come into the picture or start sending the request. Let me come to here and now again run it. You will see the difference. Every new request will start after 2 seconds. 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, and you will be able to see that it is also taking the time. That's why it is taking a time of 2 seconds. That's why it is taking more than the previous one. So I hope you got it right. Now come to the next point of there. You can say this one. Next point is that there is a very important thing is that is specify thread lifetime. What is thread lifetime? So here you can say that whenever you are running it, it is, you can say your thread is taking the time, means whatever time is needed to send the request, means every user is, you can say, allowed to send the one request. Let me increase it. 10 means what is the meaning of that? 10 users are allowed to send the 10 requests, means 10 users are there and every user is allowed to send 10 requests. So what will be the total number of requests? Total number of requests 100. Number of users and number of requests per user, so 100. Now let me run it. Let me make it a little bit big so that I can show the impact. So let me make it suppose 1,000 users. Okay, in the here I want to tell you one important thing. Don't use any other web application or API from the internet. Otherwise, if you are using the huge number of users or requests, it will block you. It will block you. Here what I'm doing, I'm using my own develop API, and that is deployed on my local, so I can send it. I'm not going to block myself. Okay, so that's why. So now so 1,000 multiply 1,000, you can see that how many number of requests are there. Okay, and ramp up period, let me give little bit very less so that I can run it quickly. So now let me run it, and let me clear all the logs here, and let me run it. So you can see that when it will run it, it is running, and you can say number of sample 2, how quickly it is running. 6,4 something like that, like you can see here. So it is running 8,000 something like that. So here you can say that whenever it is running, how many samples it is running, it will run the total number of samples. Total number of samples means it is, you can see that it is going on 13,000, 14,000, 15,000. It means it keep on running all the samples, all the requests. There is no restriction on that. Every user is allowed to send the request, keep on running the request, keep on, means you are giving, you are not restricting every user that you have only this much time of this much of time to send the request. He can take any time. There is no restriction on the time. He can take so much time, whatever time is needed to send the 1,000 requests. It means every user is allowed, there is no time requestion for every user to send 1,000 requests. He can take whatever time is needed. Now let me go here, and it will keep on running. Trust me, it will keep on running. 29,000, 30,000, because this will reach till the time 1,000 multiplied by 1,000. Okay, so now let me do one thing. Let me stop this thing. So let me stop this. So I'm going to stop it. Okay, I've stopped it. Let me clear it. And now I'm going to show you what is the use of this specified thread lifetime. You can decide how much time you want to give to each thread. Okay, I'm saying that 1 second. It means I'm saying that I'm only 1 second. Every thread will get only 1 second to send their request. Their requests are, they are allowed to send 1,000 requests according to the loop count. Every user is allowed to send the 1,000 requests, but I'm saying that I will give every thread only 1 second. How much, how many requests you want to send, just send it, but I will not give more than one. So actually I'm restricting. So it will, what it will make an impact, it will reduce the number of requests sent by the threads because I'm restricting a time. So now let me again go here and run it and see that this time what will happen. So here you can say it is running, and now here you can say it is highlighted. It means my automation, my performance automation is completed. And here you can say it has only executed 2838 because within the 1 second I have given 1 second to every thread, every user, that you can send to utilize the 1 second time. That's why it is only able to send these request samples here. Okay, so this is the use of the, you can say, specify. And here you can say that what is the delay. You can also define the delay, like what time you are giving to make a delay in, you can say, threads. What time you are saying that, okay, this much time of delay should you want to provide for that. But again, I'm saying that this is not so much important. Important thing is that number of threads, ramp up period, and loop count. That is very important. So now if you have any type of question regarding this, you can put in the comment of this video. And if you have any you can say if you have not subscribed my channel till now, you can subscribe it. Thank you.